Hello and welcome to Guy Too Much Time. Well, I don't know if you can tell from what this picture is, but I'm going to tell you this is butter toffee. That's right, people. Today we learned how to make butter toffee. Now actually what's happening today is I'm instructing my daughter how to make butter toffee and she's making it. So this is her first attempt to make it on her own. So what do we need? We're going to need some aluminum foil. We're going to need some sugar. We're going to need some butter. We're going to need something to stir this mixture with. We're going to need a little bit of salt. And we're going to need some chocolate to put on the top. My daughter wanted white chocolate. I wanted milk chocolate. Well, she won. So the proportions here is if you're using a half a cup of sugar, you're using a half a cup of butter. So we're going to start by covering a pan with aluminum foil. This just makes it so much easier. And you're going to spread it out in there, and you want to make sure that you have it oversized. You want to have lips on either side of this because when we pour the butter toffee into this, we don't want it to go over the side. It's just much easier to go off aluminum foil. So we're going to go over to our stove. We're going to turn it to a 5, a nice medium. We're going to put in a 1/4 cup of butter. And look, leaning tower of butter. Ooh, well, that's probably not stable. No, it was not. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to, well, you've guessed it. If you watched any of my videos, that's right. We're going to stir it. Well, my daughter was absolutely convinced that she needed to cut this, but I kept telling her, no, you can just keep stirring it. It's fine. But even as you can tell, she was just determined to try to cut that thing. Now, you do want to put in a little bit of salt, just a little bit. Even if you're using salted butter, which is what I'm using here. You can use a little bit of salt. I get a better result. Then we're going to go ahead and add in our half a cup of sugar once all of that is melted. There's 1/4 cup of sugar, and here comes the other. Now, if you notice there, she was actually a little short on her sugar. Now you're thinking, well, that sounds pretty bad. Well, as we're going to see in the end, it's not really that bad. Now, we keep mixing this. This is going to take a long time because we're waiting for it to change structure. Like first it went from melted, now it's kind of a melted conglomeration right there. Then we're going to see it start to bubble. Now it is important to keep this moving and got to keep it mixing because it will burn really easy. When you're making candy, temperature is really important. So we keep that stirring and it's going to keep bubbling. And notice that color. The color change is part of what I'm watching for and the consistency change. Now it gets almost like frothy, nice and bubbly. It almost looks like foam. But again, we're not there. What this is doing is it's obviously boiling off all the moisture out of the butter. And, well, we're just going to be left with wonderful candy. Now you can see it's starting to get a little bit darker, but it's still kind of foamy on top. Again, we're waiting for all these different things to sort of go through different phases until it sort of gets to where we need it to be before we can pour it out. Now you see it's getting browner and browner. If we actually stopped probably here, we would probably have like a caramel or maybe even like a taffy. But we're after something that's going to dry and kind of dry hard and have a crunch to it. So we're going to keep stirring this. Again, this is really close. Now see, we're getting really close. We still see some bubbles, but we also see it almost looks like, well, brown worms. It's not really one big conglomeration of toffee yet. And you see a whole lot of extra butter because she didn't put enough sugar in. But that's going to be fine. You'll see. Trust me. Now in this next stage of this, you're going to see that it really is starting to combine. Now it's really easy to overcook this. You don't want to do that. If you start to see whiffs of smoke or anything like that, get it off the heat immediately and pour it. But that's ready to go right there. Now notice when she pours it, a whole bunch of butter just plops right down there before all the butter toffee comes out. But that's going to be fine. Trust me. So what I'm getting at is it's really easy to make this and make it, and it's going to taste wonderful. So we pour that out there. And then we're going to transfer this to a table, something where it's easy to work on. And I like to put down a towel to protect my surface because this is going to be hot, like lava hot. And we're going to carefully put melting chocolates on top because the heat of this thing will have more than enough residual to melt the chocolate. Also have more than enough residual to burn you. So I urge you to be very, very, very careful. Now, I did actually win part of the bet with my daughter here. She got to cover half of this with white chocolate, and the other half will be, well, uncovered because even when I win, I still don't exactly win. Now, when the tops of these things start to get shiny, that means, well, they're melting and you can start spreading them out. I tend to use the back side of a spoon because it just seems to work really well. Again, you play around with it, you see how it moves, how it melts, you push it around. It only takes a few minutes, but again, you have to wait till the tops are shiny, because they're not melted until they're shiny. And again, you spread this around, this is what you get. And then you start with your daughter takes the spoon that has the stuff on it, and she eats it and then shows you just for fun. So this is what this looks like now that it's all spread out all over, half of the toffee. And you see, it actually looks pretty good. And we made a lot of it. That was a half a cup of butter and a half a cup of sugar and just a pinch of salt, like a pinch of salt. And you want to wait for this to cool down, but you can see once it does cool down, you can break pieces right off it very easily. A little too easily, like you're any of the kids in my family, just walk over and break up. And you're going to see I've got butter collecting in different parts of this, but it really does not affect the flavor. I would rather have too much butter than too much salt or too much sugar. Now, the reason we're doing this is because one of my subscribers asked me to use a Bowie knife in one of my demonstrations, and this was the best I could come up with. First, I had to find a Bowie knife, and I had to figure out the appropriate recipe, and this seemed appropriate. The way you would normally do this is you would pick up the aluminum foil, and your butter toffee will just go ahead and peel right off the bottom. Unfortunately, breaking it, I had to take it away from my daughter because every piece she broke, she would eat it, and there would be nothing left for anyone else. But you can just pick it up, you just break it, breaks very easily. But you do have to wait for it to cool. It is very good. But you definitely have to wait for it to cool. You can do a lot of things. You can put an ice pack under your pan to make it cool. After you put on your chocolate and get spread out and let it sit out for a little bit, you can try putting it into your refrigerator to make it cool. I've had better results putting an ice pack under it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Some guy, too much time, signing out.